I'm Stefan. I'm from IHMC. I'm one of the people who breaks Nadia, our robot, for a living. And today I'll be talking about a dynamic-centric fast-walking controller for our humanoid Nadia and how we're using that with some autonomy to do some interesting stuff. So first of all, why do we want to make a fast-walking controller? Well, we want to make the robot walk fast. That one's kind of obvious. But it'd also be nice to make a more natural-looking gait, something that maybe looks a little bit more human-like, which, as we learned this week, is not so easy to define necessarily. Maybe straighter legs, smoother center of mass profile, things like this. And in doing so, we hope to make it efficient as well, exploiting the natural dynamics of the system, ideally more efficient than our baseline regular controller at all speeds, but at the least at higher speeds as well. So there are four main things that distinguish this controller from our baseline walking controller we've been using at IHMC. So first of all, it utilizes the ALIP model, angular linear inverted pendulum model, similar to the LIP, but basically just replaces the velocity term with angular momentum about the stance foot in the state space representation. It also has a rolling contact feature, so it has a progression from heel strike to stance, where we command the center of pressure to go from the heel to the toe, and then toe off. We also have like the dynamics-based footstep selection process, where the user inputs a desired center of mass velocity, and the footsteps are calculated secondarily based off of that. Whereas, the other way around, where the user selects footsteps in the world, and the dynamics are manipulated in order to achieve that. And then, lastly, and maybe the most interesting part, is rather than doing like a center of mass height or center of mass height trajectory, we're doing leg length control via knee angle. So basically an interpolation from the angle of support to a maximum straightness and then collapse at end of support. And this allows us to achieve this kind of straighter leg walking without staying away from singularities. So we set up a couple comparisons of steady state walking, 20 seconds of steady state walking, to compare the two controllers at 3 different speeds. This is 0.7 meters per second. And so at the top is fast walking, the bottom is regular, everything in blue is the baseline, everything in orange is fast walking. So you can see that for the leg pitch joints, the torque profiles for fast walking are generally a little bit lower, which is nice, with the exception of ankle pitch, where you see these orange spikes corresponding to toe off. We also took RMS average mechanical power of all the leg pitch joints over the 20 seconds of steady state walking, and you can see the numbers for fast walking are a little bit lower, and then the center of mass height trajectory is not only a bit higher for fast walking, but also a bit smoother, which is nice. When we go to 1 meter per second, the comparison gets a little bit weird because we had a lot of issues actually getting our baseline controller to walk well for steady state at this speed.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Are you trying to regulate the center of mass height to be constant
For the fast walking controller?
for both of them?
For the fast walking, no. For the regular, it has a center of mass height trajectory, yes. So the time window for this comparison is much shorter because we really were only able to achieve true 1 meter per second, quote unquote, steady state walking for the baseline for a little over a second and a half. So not really a fair comparison. The data looks kind of weird. You see generally similar trends in the last slide. The gap in RMS average mechanical power is actually growing, which is nice. It's kind of what we were hoping would happen. But again, it's such a short time window, it's not really a fair comparison. And then at 1.3 meters per second, there is no more comparison because our baseline can't actually walk at this speed. Not on Nadia, at least. It can on other robots. So in the future, to make this a little bit more fair, it would ideally be nice to do this on hardware, to add in a couple extra metrics to compare the two, and to do this at a speed that both controllers can actually do comfortably. Speaking of hardware, here are some hardware videos. Pretty happy with the way this is starting to look. In this video, it's getting up probably peak to about 0.45 meters per second, not much faster than that. As you can see, space is like a luxury resource in our lab, so we can't actually get it to go that fast before it runs out of room. So ideally, we want to put this on a treadmill to really see what this could do. And then to quickly talk about autonomy, so clearly both controllers have some strong suits. It'd be nice if the robot could kind of switch between them and choose which one to use based off of what's going on in the environment. So we've started to make this feature where it can actually autonomously switch between them based on a model of the terrain, whether it's rough or flat. It does this based off of just taking in some planar region data, nothing super crazy in the algorithm. I can talk about it in the Q&A or afterwards if anyone's interested. In the future, to make this a little bit cooler, so this is kind of our overall humanoid software stack. In the dotted line is the autonomy stack specifically. This decision would happen in the hierarchical decision process, and so right now with this video, we only are taking kind of a basic model of terrain. Ideally, we want to also include an environmental model into this decision, and also a human-provided objective. So what do we actually want the robot to do? Things like target following, searching for an object in a room, or mapping. These are all things that should factor in the decision of what controller to use. If you're doing target following, you might want to walk fast more often, but if you're mapping, even if you're on flat terrain, you might want to still walk slow and methodically to do that properly. So this is kind of direction we're moving forward for this stuff. With that being said, that's all I have for you guys. Thank you guys so much for listening today.
There's 2 minutes.
Yeah.
The question, can you go to the simulation, the video, 1.3 meters per second?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, 1.3, I mean, 1.3, 1 point.
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
Okay, 1.2.
next one. So, if I'm right, the legs swing, the arms swing in the same direction along your, I mean, the swing of your arm.
Is it in phase with the legs?
Yes,
Yeah.
so with the leg. But
Yeah.
in your experiment, it's opposite side, it's not going in this direction. So what's the difference?
Well, the difference is the arm control is a total afterthought in this controller. So, in fact, we have, as you've heard from other I2C folks, we've had a lot of issues with the arms on hardware, and so we basically aren't really doing arm control. So we're not actively controlling what's happening with them here, and ideally we want them to be out of phase. And I think what happens is at these higher speeds, they're not perfectly out of phase, and sometimes they sync up, and obviously that's not ideal. At the lower speeds, we don't see that as much, but generally speaking, because of the arm issues on hardware, we've really just been trying to keep them still. So everything you're seeing is kind of more or less passively happening with the arm. We have ideas for what we want to do moving forward with arm control, but right now it's don't break the arms on hardware is our norm.
Okay, actually I would say it's not human eye.
Yeah, the arm, yeah, no, you're right, yeah. Yep.
This is cool. Just last night I was saying, no one's going straight like walking. So it's great.
Thank you.
How straight is it getting? Is it really vertical or is it still a little bit crouched?
So it's getting to, at least in simulation, like about, I would say a little, like 91, 92% of the way of like complete straightness.
And there's no like hard stop on the straight. It's not like walking into the.
We're staying away from a hard stop in the controller. I mean, the robot has a hard stop, but no, we're not
You're
doing
not taking advantage of that.
No. Yeah, no. With the swing leg, we can go to a hard stop and then, get out of that during impact, but with the stance, we stay away from that. Thank you.